Today's video is going to be something a little bit different. I'm not going to be showing off any comic books. I'm not going to be talking about slabs or anything like that. While I have my good buddy George here with me, I want to talk about some morals in comic book buying and collecting, selling, whatever it happens to be. I know Ryan from Automatic Comics just put out a video about this, but it's one I've been dying to do for a while, and he kind of pushed me over the edge to get me to do it. So I also kind of, when I was having these thoughts, chatted with my buddy George, and I also chatted with my friend Lana, who I wish could be here, sitting here with us. And what's funny is that when we would love Lana. Hi, Lana. The funny thing is that when I had these thoughts and I bounced them off to these guys, I didn't just get lip service, and they didn't just agree with me, and they had good points. So it kind of inspired me to have this conversation. So stick around. This is going to be a little different for Swarm of Comics. It's going to be a little spicy, but I think you guys can handle it. So stick around and join us. All right, welcome to Swarm of Comics. Thank you for coming and visiting our channel. I'm Randy, your gorgeous and grounded host, and this is
George O'Connor, writer, musician, friend.
Oh, pal, best pal, most pals. I have a comic book and writing intellectual here, and like I said in the intro, he's got a lot of good opinions and a lot of good thoughts, and I love bouncing stuff off him. And I want your thoughts too. Please comment, give me your opinions. The subject on this is like I said, doing right by people when buying comics. Whether you're a comic dealer, a comic flipper, just a person who collects comics and gets a good opportunity, it's really, I'm really seeing some upsetting things as I'm starting to follow more YouTube channels, as I follow threads on comic book collecting or whatever on Reddit, different places. If you're not watching Automatic Comics, Ryan is a great source of information, whether it's the hot things going on with CGC, conspiracies, or just what the trends are in the markets. And he felt the need to put out a video, and I've been dying to do this. I was almost like, oh, he stole my idea, but this more or less inspired me to talk about it. And I've just seen some disturbing things. I've seen disturbing things, and as I mentioned, I have my own code of morals, how I would do things, whether it's the way I grew up, whether it's whatever it is. And I don't want to say I'm right, and I certainly don't know if I'm right. And I know I keep dancing around it, but I want to dive right into it. And I'm going to give you an example of what I saw. I don't remember the name of the channel, and I wouldn't even want to bring it up because I don't want to fight with anybody. I'm not here for getting views in public. These people are trying to get views and they're trying to sell stuff. You'll hear me say it over and over again. I don't sell anything. Unfortunately, I just keep buying anything. I should probably sell something, but I don't. I do this because I enjoy this hobby and I enjoy talking about it and sharing. So I was watching YouTube videos, things were in my algorithms, and a channel I'd never seen come up. A guy had a pretty nice looking studio. He had a boom mic on a fancy thing. I just have this little cool microphone on Amazon, which actually works really good. And he had his headphones on, and what he was talking about was a collection of comics that he bought. He clearly was selling on eBay, but he still looked like he was a fan, like he knew about comic books as well. And that's another pet peeve of mine. And I mentioned it before in another video, is I get selling comic books as a job, as an investment or whatever it is, but I feel like you also have to love the hobby. I feel like if you don't, it's your own business, but
you'd hope they would,
but at the same time, I like cars. If I worked as a car dealer, doesn't mean I had to love cars. So, and that's why I like to stay grounded with other opinions and not just live in your own head. So this person was talking about a collection they had picked up. Details are vague. It's going to be what I can remember. You'll get the general idea. That's all that matters. He bought 2 short boxes of comic books. Person had a price in mind. They said, I want to sell these for, let's say, $100. And he talked them down to like $60 or $80, like even talk them down. But he had gone to see the collection of two short boxes, looked through everything, was a comic dealer, and knew exactly what he had.
And that what he had was more than $100 worth of books.
So much more than $100. Like, I feel like the
What's-
person should call the police.
Yeah.
So I'll get to the story and then we can talk about doing your own homework, whatever it happens to be. And that's kind of the feedback I got from Lana and George. So guys goes down, he's telling the story. He buys these two short boxes, saw what was in there, talked the guy down, and then he starts pulling, he got the book slabbed. So while I'm getting to the point, this video is they're already slabbed. And the books are, he's pulling out books, book after book.
Banger after banger.
That are 9/8 and the expensive things. But the key one that stuck out on my mind, and I wish I had saved the video, but I was so disgusted by it, honestly. And you guys don't hear me talk like this. I'm happy. This is fun. We have comics. Hey, it's amazing Spider-Man. We have jokes. We have a good time. But I was just disgusted by this, guys. And maybe that's one of the problems with getting into a hobby is you start to see the disgusting side of it you don't like. He pulled out an Ultimate Fallout #4, first appearance of Miles Morales, newsstand. What was that, 2008, 2010? There was no newsstands then. And he got it graded and it was a 9/8. He knew it was a high grade and he knew it was a newsstand. A 9/8 Ultimate Fallout 4 newsstand graded. There are none. There's just that one.
Yeah.
That could be a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 book. And he knew what he had. Even if it wasn't a newsstand, that book was still in the thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And he kept pulling out book after book. They weren't that good, but they were good. And he was bragging. His comments on his video was like, holy crap, what a great score. That was amazing. I had to stop it at the end. I didn't watch the whole thing. I was sick to my stomach, George.
Yeah.
So I saw that video and I've seen some more. There's a new one that just came out where a guy had a couple of storage units full of comics that have been sitting there for 30 years. And he called this guy who is a comic dealer who has a YouTube channel. He went down. The guy had a price. He says, yeah, I'll do them all for $100 or $500. There's thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And that guy did nothing. Got in his car and he said, yeehaw, these are amazing. This is the best deal ever. It wasn't the best deal ever. These type of videos made me sick as a person. Now, I remember talking to George. Maybe we were at dinner before band practice. We're in a band called Scumbag. Go check it out, swarmofeyes.com, or find us on the socials. And you had a different perspective. I don't know if you're going to remember exactly what you had said to me because it might have made a more impact to me. You were probably just listening to me babble and said, yeah. But now that I'm repeating that story back to you, I want to know your thoughts because.
Yeah. So there are a couple things that come to mind, through those stories is I think it does. Well, I was about to say it starts with the seller, but it's, I think the reason you want to talk about this is there's so many spokes in the wheel that you can investigate about this. I think there's a difference. So there is the mentality of people like, look, this storage unit is like it is worth it more to me for you to give me 100, look like a low number than it is worth me putting the time and money and effort into figuring out exactly what I have and then figuring out how to sell it. Right. You look at, you look at somebody in that situation and maybe it really is just worth it for somebody else to take this thing off their to-do list. This storage unit is holding court in their head, right? Of all the things they're juggling in their life.
Right.
For them, maybe it is worth it to me to not have to worry about it.
Yep.
And if you're going into it wide-eyed like that, right? Like the person, like I know there's 5,000 books in this unit. I'm sure there's something good in here.
Right.
I don't have the time, the energy, the spoons, the knowledge to go through here, just going through 5,000 books with Overstreet or Heritage.
And you said something key there.
Yeah.
Perhaps in this case of the storage, the guy didn't call someone to come down and give him a value. He just said, this is the price.
Yes.
So who's go?
So if you're saying, so if you're walking into it wide-eyed, again, I know I'm probably asking less for here, but it's worth it. Then I think that's kind of what we all hope for. Is like there's somebody
Right.
why like I said, wide-eyed, aware that I know what I'm doing. I know it might sound crazy to you, person who pays their mortgage by flipping comic books,
Right.
but it is worth it to me to know this is gone and I can move on. And so I will take a bargain basement price because that's worth it to me. So, in that scenario, again, we're assuming, that scenario, I've just decided the person knows what's going on.
Right.
And if you get that call and it's like, oh yeah, then great, go, congratulations. Like that's the fine, that's the call we all hope.
Every collector always
get.
wants that
Right.
some type of great score.
Right.
Yep.
And that feels honest. And you could look at it and go, oh, but dude, you could have sold those 5,000 books were worth X.
Yeah.
It didn't matter to that person. So if that person has made a choice, then congratulations, you got the lottery ticket.
Right.
And everybody leaves that transaction happy.
Right. That person with that
content.
storage bin, or that person who sold the two
Yep.
books, they were like, hey, I got rid of these and I got some money for them and it's what I asked for.
Yep.
But
now you threw in the wrinkle there. There would be a difference of, hey, Dave at Dave's Comics.
right.
I got a storage unit worth 5,000 books. I don't know what I have. Could you come in, take a look, and then
Right.
whatever, I will sell them to you. I will give you a fee
Yeah.
for your time and your knowledge. I will pay you for that.
Right.
Something like that. And if that person comes in and looks at a 5,000 unit storage and go, there's $100,000 worth of books here, and then says, maybe 1,000. Yeah, it's maybe worth 1,000 or 2,000. Now that's gross and immoral and wrong, in my opinion.
Right.
Now flipping over, like we're all over the place already. Now going back to short box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Which is the one that really set me off.
Yeah.
Months ago,
yeah.
the storage unit was different in that. So that guy with a storage unit, he got hell for that and shut off the comments on his YouTube. And then made a second video when he went back, because the guy's like, I've got more. Do you want to buy more? And he went back and bought him a second batch from him. And he basically said, F you, all you haters, you're just jealous and everything like that. And people were like, we're not jealous. Like, you're doing the wrong thing. You're a comic dealer. Now, I'm an individual person. If somebody said to me, hey, do you want to buy these comics? Well, I'm not a comic dealer.
Yeah.
So I get that he's got dollar signs in his eyes, but he also should have a better moral code. So, but going back to short box guy, which really bothered
me. And the difference there is again, we are this is playing, the Whisper Network. Like this is the fourth iteration of this story. So who knows what it is, but just playing off of these. And if we go with more of the vibe versus the specific details in that scenario, it sounds like, well, okay, whether or not, so same thing. Maybe this person is like, look, I don't know what I got here, but I got 2 short boxes.
Right.
It's worth $100 to me to get it to let go. Where I would deviate on the path is when I go through that short box and I see Ultimate Fallout 4.
Yeah.
I know I'm made. Like
right.
And even if this person is giving off the vibe of like, look, I don't you don't sell me on what's in here. Like, I don't care. I want $100. I want these gone. Right.
Right. So and see, that's a pissing piece. I don't know what that person's
right.
The person could have been like, my son went to Vietnam War and I've got these boxes and I don't know, what do you think they're worth? $100. There's 100 books. Right. So the other thing is to me, there was probably 100 books and they probably said, well, $1 a piece, but I'm making things up. I'm filling in things in my brain. That's what we do.
But what we can go with a little more is, then it's like, all right, so you got the lottery ticket, you won.
Right.
What you won. Why do you need to negotiate down?
Yeah, that's definitely a kick them as they're going down.
Right. It's unnecessary.
Right.
And that's where I get
that definitely
that's where I get stuck, is like, dude, you won.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you got the lottery
Right.
ticket. Are negotiating for that $40 on, you know, where one book is going to get, you know, potentially net you
10,000.
$10,000. Now I am finding a flaw in your character.
Right.
That, like, not only do you have to win, you've got to like you got to get over on the person. That's the unnecessary part that I don't
Right.
understand. That's where I'm going to go. There's a bit of a character flaw
Right.
here. Like, it's one thing to like have it land in your lap.
Yep.
And you know what? Again, in these scenarios, if it's someone, I got this, I want, you know, I will sell it to you for X. Then, you know, I don't feel the necessity to go, oh, but let me explain to you what's here. Now that is a path
Right.
that you could go down, and you know, we could see that and go, oh, that's a good, you know, that's a good person. I'm glad the person who sold those boxes got a little more
Right.
out of it. Right.
Yep.
But I don't find the moral failing in wide-eyed, this is what I want. I do not care about the specifics.
Right.
It is worth it for me to walk out of my storage unit, my home right now, and give me money.
Yep. So I'm going to go back to the pieces missing, whether it's short boxes,
yeah,
or storage bin.
Yeah.
Both people, I'm only hearing the perspective of the person who wants to spin the story and tell you the story.
Fair.
The people could have said, hey, I got the storage bin. Could you tell me what's worth? So
Yeah.
recently, I know someone very nice, hi, Chrissy, who is in the business of cleanouts.
Okay.
So you guys have probably seen these. It's getting very big now. Is, let's say I decide I'm going to retire and I've got all the stuff in my house and I want to downsize, but I don't want to deal with it. I'm elderly. You see the gray in my beard. I don't want to do it. They'll call a company. The company will come in. They will auction off all your stuff.
Yeah.
They will take care of it. They'll have the people arranged to come get it. It's kind of like an estate sale.
Yeah.
And they get rid of everything.
Yeah.
So she said to me, hey, I have an associate that's down in New Jersey. Somebody's got a comic collection, and the seller wants to get rid of it. He hasn't looked at it in 25 years, and it's in a storage bin. And would you be interested in looking at it? Now, this is an important part of the story for me, because this came later afterwards. Yeah. She said, hey, I told her to go to you because I know you're honest. I know you're upfront. What she's worried about is that somebody's going to come in and say, these are all worthless. She said to me on the phone, I talked to her on the phone. She goes, how do I know there's not a Batman #1 in there? I said, first of all, he collected books in the 90s. There's no Batman #1 in there, but that's not the point. I said, you don't know. You have to, by word of mouth, as somebody reputable. Now, if there was a Batman #1 in there, and I told her the collection was worth $1,000 and I gave her $1,000 and came home, I'm only going to tell you the story that I'm going to tell you. She said $1,000. She said, just take it all. And now I have it. Now, the other part of this, that, much to your point now, is she says, oh, he's got thousands and thousands of comic books, and they're in New Jersey. Yeah. I'm not a flipper dealer. Like, what are my expenses to go? Even if I was, what's my expenses to go to New Jersey, look through everything, and then give them a price? That's what they wanted. What is this worth? They wanted somebody to tell them. But I would have had to negotiate a price to just do that. Well, a rental car is $300. A hotel's going to be $300 yeah. So for me to go through these comic books, you need to pay me $1,000 to tell you what they're worth. Yeah. And that never ended up happening. And I got some photos of the books, and they were all modern books, which I know there could be some in there, but that's not what I was looking for or anything like that. So, but the point is that you're only going to get that story. And the guy who had the storage bin, maybe, like you said, he has 5,000 books. And he doesn't want somebody to spend time in his storage bin going through them all and pricing each one.
Look, I gotta take it out by Thursday so I don't have to pay another month's worth of.
Right. But both of these stories, the people saw enough stuff that they knew they had made it. They also want to sell books. So I definitely have a different perspective than they are. And that's one of the things you said. And one of the things I remember you had said to me was, in not so many words, not verbatim, you said, well, whose job is it? Whose job is it to say how much these are worth? Maybe somebody, we don't know they didn't say, could you tell me how much is it worth?
Right.
Somebody was selling boxes on Craigslist or Facebook and said, I want $100 for these 2 boxes. Yeah. Or if you're a short box dealer guy scummy short box dealer guy, and you come down and you look at them and you know there's a Fallout number 4 in there, even if it wasn't a newsstand, is it your job to say, now let me tell you what you got there?
Yeah.
I should be paying you much more money. As someone who might do it for a living and trying to make money, why would you do that? You might even say to me, why would I tell you here's more money? You've already offered me a price.
Yeah.
Because as I know the story, that's how it was. I don't know what really happened, but this dealer said they offered a price. They negotiated down. That's the super scummy part that I'm even going to forget about for a moment. It ultimately comes down to, if you haven't done the research and you don't know what you have, and that's what Lana said to me. She goes, do your own research.
Yeah.
There's the internet. This is not like the old days where you didn't know what to do. You go to a comic book store and hope they didn't rip you off. And who wants to do that? And they don't want to move them. So I get that there's more side. And that's the perspectives I got from Lana and I got from George was, is it really your job as a buyer, as a flipper, as a dealer, to do the seller's research for them? And the question was posed to me by Lana and maybe you. What would you do, Randy, in that situation? What would you guys do? Tell me in the comments what you guys would do. And I answered her with this story. You might have heard it in one of my old videos when I had my crappier camera and no lighting. So don't go back and watch them. There was a person on Facebook or Craigslist. They were selling some comics. Yeah. They were old Charlton and some no-name brands, 60s into the 70s space books. They were so retro, goofy looking, low quality, but awesome. Books like Space Ace and The Space War, like who's ever even heard of these books? But I had this affinity for like them, and they were super cheap. I remember he wanted $100 for this stack of books. And he said, I'll meet you at a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot. It doesn't get any more New England than meeting at Dunkin' Donuts, Dunk's parking lot. Okay. So at the Dunk's parking lot, and he says to me, I have some other books. I'm going to bring those along. If you were interested, you can look through them. I said, sure. So $100 for this stack of books. And he messaged me and said, one of the books, the nicer ones, I think I already sold or I can't find it. So I'll do $80 for the stack. I said, sure. I think it ended up being like $2 a book or something like that. And I just wanted for fun.
Sure.
And I met him at the parking lot, and he had a long box that was like half full. And he says, just, you can start flipping through it. So I said, okay. So I start flipping through it, and most of them are bagged and boarded, and a lot of them are like Justice League, not super old. It was a lot of DC stuff. I picked out one or two things that I thought were cool. And this is the key of the story. I flipped through, no bag, no board, is a 1945 The Shadow comic. I mean, I knew instantly it was worth money. Like, I don't even need to look it up. Oh, he said to me, anything in this box you want is $2 or something like that. And I pulled it out and I looked at him. I said, you know, this is a Shadow from 1945. And it looked in nice shape. No bag or board. Everything else was like Justice League 200 from 1976 was bag and board, but not this Shadow.
Right. Not this 80-year-old book.
So I picked out 2 books and I picked out the Shadow. And I said to him, do you know what this is? I said, this book is worth a lot of money. Hundreds, 200, 300, 600. Depending on the condition. More than $2. And I said to him, and that might be I remember this, that might be a stupid thing for me to ask you, but do you know this book is worth a lot of money? Like, I couldn't inside me just say, I didn't have the excitement.
Take the book.
I didn't have the excitement, like $2. Yes.
Yeah.
I felt, so I said to him, I said, do you know what this is? I said, this is one of the things where I probably should shut my mouth, but this is a nice book. This is in beautiful shape. By the way, spoiler, I bought it, got it graded, and it's an 8.0. There's not a lot of net sell, but I can guarantee you if I put it on Heritage, I could get $400 to $600, $700 for it.
Yeah.
I said to him, this is probably what this is worth. This is worth hundreds. This is a nice book. And here's what he said to me. He goes, listen, I buy comics and I sell comics all the time. Flea markets, yard sales, everywhere like that. He goes, sometimes I get really good deals on things. And sometimes people get really good deals from me. He goes, you can take it for $2. He goes, I said $2, it's yours. And then I felt okay about it.
Right.
But I had the conversation.
But you confirmed
yes,
that he was making a eyes wide open choice.
I was okay with losing out on that Shadow. I'll put a picture of it up on the screen afterwards in editing. It's in another video, but I'll put it up there anyway. It's a beautiful book. It's not one of the most amazing covers. It's not super rare. I mean, it's rare, but it's not.
It's an 80-year-old book.
Right, 1945.
It's not supposed to be here.
No, no, and it's not supposed to be an 8.0.
Right. Right.
And I use that example. So if you remember, the beginning of the story was Lana said to me, "What would you do?" Mm-hmm. I know what I would do as a collector because I'm not a flipper. I can't honestly. And I said to her, I said, "That's what I would do, and that's my story." And she said, "But what if it was your job? What if you were a flipper? What would you do?" I still feel like I'd have the same morals. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing more, and again, other people are starting to bring this up. The ethics of this. But you both had fantastic points. And the biggest takeaway, I know I'm giving you your point, was whose job is it? You've already sort of made it is, there's a convenience of it. Just get rid of these things. There's a storage bin for them. I don't want to go through them. I don't want to price them. Much like a estate sale lady. She goes, I don't want to go through all these. I just want somebody to do it for me. Yeah. And here's my price to just get rid of them. It's worth it to me, even if I lose out on $1,000 book or a bunch of books for the convenience of this clean out.
Yeah. And, to Lana's point, it's these people are, and in that scenario about like I'm going to travel to New Jersey. I'm going to, these people, paying their mortgage, paying their bills, vacation, their healthcare, and all that stuff. So I respect that, that on that side it's a business, but there's, then you start skirting the line of like, yeah, it's a business, but do you have to be a scumbag about it? Like, can you do your job and be profitable without taking advantage of people?
Right. It's like the analogy popped up in my mind. If I wanted to buy a new car and I brought in my old car, trade in at the dealer, and they're going to give me a price on it. I mean, I'm expecting them to give me a scummy price. Like I'm expecting to lowball me, and I'm going to have to, and they're going to say, well, there's a scratch on there and we found something wrong. Like, I feel like I'm getting ripped off, and I get it. They're doing their job, but that's still scummy. And I just feel gross. And I've been keeping this inside, guys. And I know, like I said earlier, normally these are good, fun videos. I'm not the spicy take person, so I can get views. I don't care. I don't have any make money off of this or anything like that. It just bothered me. And while I had George here and, to talk about it, I just, it's the ethics behind it. And it bothers me what I'm seeing.
Yeah. And it's not black and white.
No, I know.
That's, and that's, like I said, everybody's got kind of that line of, where do you accept the lottery ticket? And where do you, again, it's like, just going back to this, it's the same thing that's stuck in my throat. It's like, dude, you won.
Right.
You won. What is that $40?
Right.
And if we go into, a master's degree in psychology, like that's where the thesis is.
Right.
Is why, when you already won,
right,
did you have to squeeze out an amount that isn't even a percentage of your profit?
Right. The amount was, it costs
like 1% of your
right. It costs more to get that book graded probably than it did.
Yes.
It definitely costs more to get that book graded than what you paid for the whole all the stuff. And that's why that one definitely stuck out to me. But
so, if there were ever a dialogue, I would just ask why.
Yeah.
Like I can understand, right or wrong, I can understand, to the short box is $100. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
And going like, again, I hit that lottery ticket.
Right.
Why did you have to push?
Yeah.
Why do you have to negotiate a deal you already won?
Right. I also looked at it as, even forgetting the super scummy part, is if I was a dealer and somebody said to me, I want $100 and I could see that these books are worth thousands of dollars. What am I going to do? Miss out on it? Like, no, these are worth a lot. You should not sell them to me. Go sell them somewhere else and auction them yourself. Now, the reason I bring that up and say that is, I'm sure all of you guys, because he's pretty big on the YouTube for comics, it's the guy who does Lunch Money Comics. He's out in Western Mass, and he goes to all the Comic Cons, flea markets, Brimfield Fair, everything like that. He makes good, wholesome content. He calls it Lunch Money Comics. He started this years ago because it's like, you got a wife, kid, mortgage, and things like that. You're on a budget. You spending your lunch money. Maybe you don't eat lunch that day. You save the money, buy some comics.
Yeah.
And he's turned it into a thing. He's monetized. He does really good. He's got thousands of views. But he also seems like he's got a good moral code. So
Yeah.
I actually think I'm going to hopefully meet him on April 13th up at the convention in Concord. I'm sorry you're going to miss that, but
Yeah.
he's supposed to be there. It'd be nice to meet him. My buddy Tom Anderson, who does some pressing and submitting, has met him. He's been in his videos and stuff like that. But the reason I gave that sort of background is he was one of the first YouTubers doing comic stuff I watched. And he's pretty stand up. And here was his story. His next door neighbor, someone can correct me. I'm not a friggin' encyclopedia, okay? I don't have a photographic memory. His next door neighbor, kind of wacky, came to him and said, hey, I know you do all those comic stuff and everything like that. I got a bunch of comics when I was younger. I want to get rid of them. Do you want them? Do you want to do anything with them? So Lunch Money Comics, I don't remember his name. It's just Lunch Money Comics. We'll just call him Lunch Money. So Lunch Money goes over there. Lunch Money, I hope you're watching this. Hey, buddy. LMC, what's up? We'll see you soon. No. He went next door, but he filmed it all. He films all his things. And he goes down there and he's going through this guy's book, say, hey, let me see what you got.
Yeah.
I mean, he's finding stuff. He found a Hulk 181. And he said to the guy, like, you've got some great stuff here. And the guy's like, well, I appreciate it. You can just have it. And he's like, no, I don't just want to have it.
Yeah.
And the guy was definitely a character. He's on the video and you can hear him talking in the background as Lunch Money is trying to go through the books and he's telling him these crazy stories and like that. But he's like, you've got some great stuff here. And what they agreed is he says, I'm going to help you go through it all. I'm going to help you price it all. And I'm going to help you get rid of it. But he also got content out of it.
Yeah.
Spoiler all the way to the end. He helped the guy organize it all, price it all. And the guy was like, he's like, we should sell it at a convention. And the guy's like, oh, that'd be cool. I've never been to one. I'd love to interact with people. And if you saw this guy or heard him, you know he was a talker. He was dying to get to a convention to talk to people. And they set up, it's in the Lunch Money Comics videos. They sold a bunch of stuff. And at the end of the day, another dealer said, you have great stuff, and bought it in bulk, all the rest of his stuff. And this guy was thrilled. And Lunch Money Comics did the right thing. And the guy said to him, for all your help, I'm going to sell you 181 and whatever books at a discount, and you deserve it for all that hard work. And he did. He did that work legitimately for nothing. And I could tell, you could just tell sometimes. He didn't do it so he'd get something out of it.
Yeah.
He enjoys the hobby. And I want you all to be enjoying the hobby. Even if I'm talking about investments and monies and slabs, I want you guys to know that I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan and I'm a lover of comic books and the business. And I hate seeing some of this ugly stuff. So that's my story about Lunch Money Comics. Go to his channel, watch those videos. He did the right thing. He's also not a comic book seller. He does trade though. He does trade. If he's got a couple of low grade Spider-Man and somebody's got a higher grade Green Lantern, he might do a trade. Everybody wants to get a deal. When I bid on things that are buy it now or best offer on eBay, I'm not giving them selling price.
Right. Yeah.
I'm trying to get the best deal possible. But I don't want to rip people off. And that's ultimately, I don't know what the title of this video is going to be. You're going to see it before you watch it because I haven't come up with it is. I'm just tired of seeing people rip other people off. And I know that's the way of the world. And like, I want to go to these people that got ripped off and be like, should have done that. Because there's people who do the right thing out there. And I know you can get clouded by dollar signs. We've already talked about it. I've started slabbing books, seeing dollar signs that weren't worth me slabbing, and the grades weren't worth it. And I got it, and I was pulled back. A bunch of books I had queued up for slabbing, I pulled them back and said, I'm not going to do these. That was dumb. I was getting slab happy. I was getting dollar signs in my eyes. Well, if my New Mutants 98 and my ASM 300 came back at 9.8, maybe these other books will. And I didn't even look at them. I just assumed everything is great and I'm going to get all 9.8s. And I wasted a bunch of money. I got good content, and one of those videos got like 4,800 views. But I didn't make any money on 4,800 views. You guys just got to see it. This is my office side bedroom. You know, they come in, they say, this is where the tragic happens. And that was a tragedy that day. So maybe this is just a way for me to vent and again, get other perspectives here, which unfortunately for you guys, I've already had these conversations with Lana. She's really short. That's why I do that. She's like 4'11" or something. And George, it's tall, is that they've already given me these perspectives. So I've kind of taken their points that they made and I've already absorbed them and agree with them. You know, I sort of wish these videos happened organically and we would have argued and fought right on here. And our thumbnail would have been
Busted out the phone at the yard house.
right. Like, yeah. So, but that's it. I mean, what are your other thoughts on there? I don't want to just dominate the whole conversation as I normally do, but I mean, that's kind of what I had.
Yeah, it's because there, like I said, there are so many moving parts to it.
Moving parts,
Just-
missing information, but in general, just
In-
what's your ethics code? What would you do? Forget the
I would not, I would like to think I wouldn't take advantage of somebody. That doesn't mean I wouldn't. I was so close to like making this very romantic, but like I wouldn't take advantage of anybody, but I wouldn't turn away the lottery ticket. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You know, and again, it's how the conversation starts matters. The context matters. Is it like you're like Lunch Money's neighbor? Hey, what do I have here?
Yeah.
Versus, I don't know what I have here. I don't care.
Right.
You know.
But they don't care because they don't know. If I
Yeah.
was if I found a box of Hummels or something like that, I don't know. The
Yeah.
first thing about them, I'd put them out of my yard sale for $1. Now, that being said, I guess the ultimate moralistic or ethical question is it somebody's job to tell me what I have? Especially nowadays with the
Yeah.
internet. You know, the other complaint is people think they have things that are worth $1 million and they're really not.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to your comic book owner friends and
Yeah.
you know the manager by New England Comics. You know, they'll tell you all the time. You know, I got books. Yeah, you know, look, I already have The Death of Superman. Like,
Right.
you know, I know you bought 5
Superman's
copies,
Yep.
thinking someday you
Right.
know you'd be going to the Bahamas on it.
Yep. And people get indignant about that too.
Because they don't know.
Because they don't know.
So, you know, playing this scenario out, all right, I've got this stuff, I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
And now you kind of look at the path. You know, one of those paths is do the research.
Yep.
I could feel like that, like, you know, you were talking about earlier, like my parents are older and there's a lot of stuff in their house.
They
And
have
every now and then my siblings and I are like, oh boy. Oh boy. You know,
Someone's gonna have to go through that.
somebody's gonna have to do the research.
Right. Or do you just get a clean out person and get rid of it and give them their flat rate?
And that's what it comes down to. It's time, interest, desire. You know, that again, we've all got limited time and energy and spoons and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, here's 5,000 comic books in the storage unit. Do I have the time, energy, spoons to eat? You know, fine. I don't know what this is, but I can go to Heritage. I can go to Overstreet, right? I can buy the book and bring it with me to the storage unit, crack open an Excel file and do all of that. But that is time, energy, and spoons. And at some point, it's like, that's not worth it to me.
Right.
It's not worth finding out if there's a lottery ticket in here.
Right.
Yeah.
And is it their responsibility to say, I should call someone and ask them to give me a quote on this instead of saying, here's what I would sell it for. I also want to say for those on there who've not done this before, maybe you have, but in general, since I've been a kid, comic book stores, because there was no Craigslist, there was no eBay, there was no whatever, there was no hip comic. You go to a comic book store with your pile of books you want to sell, and they most likely don't want to buy them from you. But here's kind of the rule of thumb, and it depends on where you're from. I just know where I'm from. There's sort of a rule of thumb for comic stores because they're a business.
Yeah.
I've never run into an unethical comic store that would rip you off because they'll bust out the Overstreet's Guide or whatever it is at the time. When we used to look at books back in the day to get prices. Good books they want, they'll give you 50% of. Nowadays with slabs, they'll give you 60% of typically.
Yeah.
Common books, they'll either give you nothing or pennies on the dollar. If they're decent common books, credit is another big thing. Maybe you get 20%.
Yeah.
But everybody says, I got 10,000 comics. I'll want to sell them for $10,000. It's $1 a piece. Those 10,000 comics, almost all of them, they're going to go in a 50-cent bin and they've got to make money, which means they can only buy them for $0.25, not $1 a piece. And I get that. There's maybe that's where my came from. So Bry's Comics, you guys probably know Bry's Comics, very Gary. They all have YouTube channels. They're dealers. They're very upfront and transparent about their prices. They're so transparent that anybody who comes to them already knows what they're in for. Like, hey, I've already priced these out. This is worth 10,000. I know you're going to give me 5,000. And that's what it is because they've established that. And that's where I'm from. Like, there's this rule of thumb. And if you're a guy who's a comic dealer and you go to someone's storage bin, you should say, oh, most of these are common. I'll give you a quarter or 50 cents a piece, but these other ones will give you 50% a piece. I feel like people should do that. And if they don't, I can't stop them or control them, but I think that's what people should do. I don't have to do anything I say, but that's what it is like, you know, these people doing the right thing, no matter what you think of Bryce or anybody else like that. I know people have opinions, but I still think they do the right thing by people.
Mhm.
Maybe there's other scummy things they do. I don't know, but that's just a couple of perspectives, a couple of stories, a couple of, you know, analogies, or not analogies, but a couple of, what's the word for a story? It's not analogy. What's the word I'm looking for? Allegories. It's a good one. It began with A, like analogy. Yeah. I mean, you keep using the word the lottery ticket, you know?
No.
Somebody had a bunch of lottery tickets and they thought they lost and they threw them in the trash and I picked them up. Would I go chasing after that person and say, hey, you won the lottery? Hey, this is your ticket.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do, but I feel like I would do the right thing. So I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. What would you do? It's easy for me to say things sitting here, not with a lottery ticket and not with a treasure trove of books somebody's offering me at a price,
And
I'm not a dealer.
and rent on your store.
Yep.
Or
Rent on your store. You had to drive down there. Maybe you drove an hour to go get them. It's your gas and your time.
Yeah.
Time's worth money, you know?
Yeah.
I have a friend who used to do graphic design stuff on the side, and people would always say, hey, I need a logo for something. Could you do something? He goes, I don't even open Photoshop for less than $50. He goes, after that, I'm charging an hour. And they're like, yeah, but you're my buddy and it's on the side. He goes, yeah, it's my time. Do you know how much time it takes to do this? Also, $50 an hour for graphic design certainly dates that story. Hi, Dave. So I got to update that story. Like, I don't open it for less than $200 just to open the application. So I don't know. It's a moral conundrum. What do you think, Lana? Maybe I'll Photoshop like a little picture over here. Tell me what your thoughts are. Anything else to add, George?
I don't, although, you know, all this, it comes down to, God, I want to be I want to have that real estate auction moment of, you know, walking in and finding that 181 in a bin that someone's like, whatever, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was another example. If you went to the comic store and you found Ultimate Fallout #4 in the dollar bins because they didn't go dig it out and didn't realize the price skyrocketed, you're not going to go up. Well, what actually happens now is when you go up to the front desk, they say, oh, let me just look that up on sold listings on eBay and change the price. Oh, somebody just on. So that's another thing. Somebody just did a video. I guess this is a bit of a tangent, but related, is that somebody, one of the channels that I watch, dug some things out. Again, if you're a comic store, you have tens of thousands of books.
Yeah.
You're not updating books as the trends go on, especially if they're dollar books where they're not even organized.
Right.
Like, who knew Young Avengers and Ultimate Fallout #4 were going to be worth money?
Right. I think about Ms. Marvel #1, and I picked that up when it launched, and I read it, and I got it. It wasn't for me. So after about the 4th or 5th issue, I stopped buying it. And at some point it was clean out time. And I was like, this didn't really do anything for me. Cut to 4 or 5 years later, and you know, she's got a TV show and a movie.
And
I'm like,
movie.
oh, maybe from now on I should always keep the #1s just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
And, you know, the other one that I think recently, it's years at this point, but Gore the God Butcher. Like, that was an introduction of a character in the middle of Jason Aaron's Thor run.
Issue 2.
Yeah, like, yeah, you know, it was just an issue, right? And then you cut 4 or 5 years later, and you know, rumor is Gore the God Butcher, and all of a sudden I'm watching, you know, my New England Comics, selling it for $800 or something like that. It with one announcement.
Yeah,
this dollar bin book
was
all of a sudden everywhere and worth hundreds of dollars.
Yep. I'm gonna tell a story that's related to that. Is that my brother Bill? You guys saw in the video. He came up to be in some of the videos with me. Part 1 and 2 are out. We've also got another video coming out. But he said to me, he was coming up and he says, "Hey, let's plan out what we're going to do on there. I want to do a top 10 list. I want to go through whatever." And he said to me in random, he goes, "Hey, and do you want this stack of comics you gave me to read like years ago?" And I was like, "Yeah, what stack of comics?" Like I didn't even remember.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, it's about a bunch of stuff like the Thor with Gore the God Butcher, Secret, the New Avengers with the first Illuminati, your Darth Vader books with the first Dr. Aphra." And I was like, "What? You have all those books? I gave them to you to read?" He goes, "Yeah, you didn't even give me in bags and boards. They weren't worth anything when I gave them to him a few years ago."
I think Dr. Aphra is another great character. Like, I read those books when they came out. It's like, oh, that's a cool character. Yep. And now we're 5-6 years later.
Yeah.
And it's one of those characters that's like just waiting.
Right.
Just waiting to show up somewhere.
Yeah.
Has already, I mean, she's got her own book now. Like they found it's stuck. This side character stuck.
And most Star Wars side characters don't stick in the comics at all. And they never have.
Like what Mara Jade, like this, like they're a handful. They're a handful out of the the core.
But the same thing with the dollar books. Somebody was talking about a video where they were in the dollar bins and they found these really good books, brought them up from the dollar bin, and the person at the front desk said, "Well, no, hold on a second. I didn't know they were there. I'm now going to price them out by looking at the sold listings on eBay, and that's what the price is going to be." Well, that's also scummy. You put them in the dollar bin.
Yeah.
But what are they going to do? Go to the dollar bin every time a book goes up? But it's your business. You should know that. Yeah. I don't know. And that's more ethical questions, By the way, those books that I mentioned, there was another one too that was really good. I don't think any of them are 9/8. I don't know if they're worth slabbing, but I might get them slabbed anyway. So you might be seeing a future video where I have the first. Also, the Illuminati, Gore the God Butcher, Dr. Aphra. I wish I found those books during the comic boom and graded them and saved them, But I'm still glad I have them, and I might get them slabbed just because they're modern books, so they're $20 for me to get slabbed. I think they're going to be worth more than case cost, even if they come in at 9.4, 9.6 or something like that.
I think my manager's got a great eye. Like I did mine at like an 8, which is good, but not when it's only 5-6 years old and the market can be flooded with 9.8s and 9.6s.
Right. Well, so you probably haven't seen the video yet, or maybe did, but my Ultimate Spider-Man #1 that just came out, the new book.
Yeah.
I literally never even opened, and it came a 9.6. I mean, it was still worth slabbing, but it's brand new. Like literally, how would you get a 9.6? I couldn't find anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Like it should have been a 9.9. But anyway, I don't want to. You guys got the point. I love your opinions. It's just something I had to get out and talk about. I know it's not my normal content, but I felt like talking to you guys about it. And I've got such a great person to bounce things off of. He's giving me such good perspectives. And again, you aren't seeing me super hot and spicy as I was, a month ago. You see me taking from George and Lana some really good perspectives. Putting yourself in the situation. What would you do? What would you really do? And whose business is I said it before, and I'm going to say it again to end the video. It's ultimately up to you to do the research. If you don't want to do the research, then you lose. You also don't have to kick people when they're down, but so that's what it is. So thank you for joining us here today. George, thank you, my friend, for hanging out and doing a video with me. I had a lot of fun, and you guys got takes. I want to hear about them. Check out the videos, check out my other videos. Links for this cool shirt are down in the description. As you might have heard in another video, George did my theme music for it. And so make sure you check that out and comment and tell him how much you love that. And any other relevant links to this conversation will be down there. So we appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining us. We had a lot of fun. Until next time, we're Swarmer Comics. Bye. The thing about this camera angle is I look too fat down here. They don't ever normally see
Yeah,
that.
you got to scoot in a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. I also don't know what to do with my hands, because normally I just can't see my hands. I'm this close. Now I'm Ricky Bobby. Do my hands. So, all right. So we'll just be quiet for a minute. keep an eye on the camera, and then I'm just gonna make this up as I go. Yep.